Hello and a very good evening to you. I'm Danny Sinha. Hundreds of people have marched through Dorchester to protest against the government's plans to continue culling badgers. They want an end to the controversial policy, which is aimed at reducing the spread of TB to cattle. James Ingham reports.
United by their love of badgers and their hatred of the controversial cull, these protesters are angry that badgers will continue to be killed this year, despite initial pilots proving to have failed to stop the spread of TB to cattle.
We will show the world that we're not going to stand by quietly while you just butcher wildlife for a few political votes.
Campaigners say there are alternatives to culling. In Dorset, volunteers are trying to vaccinate as many badgers as possible in the hope of showing it can be a more effective way of containing TB.
I don't think we can let up for a second. The government and the NFU have shown that they haven't listened to the science and they are determined to push ahead.
Save our badgers! Stop that cull!
The marchers drew curious looks as they weaved their way through Dorchester's streets, not everyone sharing their point of view.
They're killing the cows and costing the farmers millions.
It's the government's own panels. I'm sorry.
It is an emotive issue, with farmers backing the cull. 90 cattle are lost each day to TB. While the pilot won't be expanded to new areas, the government says it is committed to continuing its trials as part of a range of measures to tackle the disease. James Ingham, BBC South Today, Dorchester.
Hundreds of people are expected to march through a Dorset town tomorrow to protest about badger culling. It's still not known if the cull, which is already happening in Somerset and Gloucestershire, will be extended to Dorset in the future. While opponents to the cull say it's inhumane, many farmers believe it's a good way to stop the spread of bovine TB, which devastates farms up and down the country. I'm joined on the line now by Andrew Butler from Dorset Badger and Bovine Welfare, which is organising the march in Dorchester. Andrew, good afternoon to you. How many people are you expecting then at tomorrow's protest?
Good afternoon. Well, we're expecting hundreds of people, and hopefully that'll be helped by the lovely weather that we're having at the moment. And we're going to be marching through town. We've got Alistair Chisholm, the town crier, who'll be doing a special badger cry for us, and also the CEO of the Badger Trust, Dominic Dyer, who's going to be giving a speech in South Street. And then we'll round off the day with music and food in Borough Gardens.
So it sounds quite civilised in terms of what you're doing, but it's obviously a very, very controversial subject. It causes a huge amount of emotion and opinion amongst many people. Are you looking to keep this very peaceful?
Well, it's really just a show of support for all of the scientific evidence that shows that badgers aren't responsible for spreading TB to cattle, and that cattle movement controls, improved biosecurity on farms, are what we can do to help alleviate this problem on dairy farms, but also to promote the Dorset Badger Vaccination Project. And this is a scheme that's operating already in Dorset. There are already lots of farms and landowners signed up to have the badgers on their land vaccinated. And this is something that's being provided by a team of trained volunteers at cost and on their own time.
So that project's going on, but I guess there is still a chance that badger culling might come into Dorset. How concerned are you that might happen?
Well, we're certainly less concerned this year than we were last. Owen Patterson made it quite clear that he wanted to roll this cull out to 10 counties. And he also said that Dorset was top of that list. However, the pilot culls in Somerset and Gloucestershire were really disastrous last year. An independent expert panel, which produced a report from the government, said that they were inhumane and also ineffective. And that's really key. So although the government wanted to roll out these culls, they were prevented from doing so because the culling so far simply hasn't worked, which is why we're going to be trying so hard to make sure that we vaccinate as many badgers as we can in Dorset this year to get as much land out of the cull as possible, so that if the cull is rolled out, which seems less and less likely next year, then we've saved as many badgers' lives as possible.
How confident are you, though, that is going to be effective? Because, I mean, I've spoken to farmers myself on this programme whose herds have been affected. They are absolutely devastated as a result. So you must recognise that something needs to be done.
Absolutely. And I mean, we've got farmers and landowners that are members of our group and that are against the cull on scientific grounds. Yes, it's a major problem, and it's a problem that's getting worse. But the solution that's being proposed is actually going to be making matters worse. We should be following the lead that's been set by Wales. They're vaccinating their badgers at the moment. That's a government-run program. And they're also have made massive improvements to their cattle movement, to their cattle testing regime, and to improve biosecurity on farms. And all of that has resulted in a drop in TB numbers in Wales. So they're obviously doing something right, whereas we've got it terribly wrong here in England. And that's why we're doing this event, to really try and set things straight.
Andrew, thank you very much indeed. Andrew Butler from Dorset Badger and Bovine Welfare. The march starts at midday tomorrow from Borough Gardens in Dorchester.